Hi, and welcome to another Wednesday, Body Literacy Wednesday. And I'm hoping that so far you've been liking the series. Today, I wanted to take on a topic that has directly affected me. I'm sure it's something that affects lots of other women. And actually, Dr. Jolene Brighton had actually written, I follow her and got her newsletters, and she actually had written about this in her newsletter, which was released yesterday, and it was in regards to breast tenderness. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about breast tenderness, and I will definitely provide a link as to where she provides some of it. She has an article that she writes about that, and it was written about 3 years ago. But I think it's very interesting, and as I talk about body literacy and having a really good understanding of the knowledge, the understanding of our body, that it's important to also note what those signs are, and whether they're good or bad signs, and also if it's cyclic as well too. And in particular with regards to breast tenderness, she mentions that there's both cyclic as well as non-cyclic breast tenderness. And so what I mean by cyclic is that, it's based on your menstrual cycle. So for instance, I will get some breast tenderness when I'm getting close to having my period. And, that's something that I know, okay, like I'll have it for, a couple of days. And for me, that's my sign, like, okay, I'm going to be, bleeding in a few days. And then afterwards, then it goes away. And then it can also be non-cyclic. So where there could be some women who have, it could be mastitis, it could be, just cystic breasts as well too. And so they just kind of get some lumps, hard lumps, but it's not associated or related or contributing, based on where they are in their cycle. And there's lots of different reasons. And again, Dr. Jolene Brighton mentions what some of those reasons are. But I think it's important, and it's something that I've spoken a lot about, is establishing a baseline. So if you have no idea as to, what's your normal, in your everyday, especially when it comes to your cycle, because I feel like your cycle is definitely one of the things that really establishes, this is, whether this is your norm or whether it's, normal or abnormal. So having a really clear understanding of, what is your normal, what is your baseline. A lot of women don't really have a good understanding of what that is. And I think it's important because then when we have a better understanding of how our body is working, when it's working, when it's doing what it's doing, then when something is awry and something goes off, then we have a better understanding, and then we can be better advocates, for ourselves when we're going to the doctor, or whatever it is, like asking for a test. But if you're having, particularly, for example, again, symptoms of breast tenderness and not even really having an understanding as to why that's happening, if you don't have an understanding as to, whether it's related to your cycle or not, then it makes it really hard for you to really advocate and say like, oh, okay, yes, I know that, I tend to get this during my cycle, or, like, oh, this is a little bit abnormal. I don't usually have this, or, it's a little bit more tender than it usually is, or maybe it's happening on both of my breasts rather than just one of them, or usually it's both and now it's just on one, and just the level of tenderness and, other symptoms that might occur. So overall, with any other part of your body, I think it's important to understand and know what your baseline is, know what your normal is, because it's going to be different for everybody. But specifically coming back to the issue of breast tenderness, again, I think it's important for you to have a good understanding as to why it occurs, when it occurs, and then just track, over the course of a few months and see, then that's the best way for you to really determine as to like, okay, this is your normal. So again, if you have any questions in regards to breast tenderness, again, I will put the link of that particular article in it because I thought it had a lot of really great information on there. I'm not a naturopathic doctor, I'm just a physical therapist, but I think it's important, again, when I'm talking about body literacy, just to have a basic understanding, and then from there being able to have the resources to go and get that correct information, to be able to get a referral, talk to a doctor, you know, whoever it may be. So I'm a big advocate on body literacy because I think it's important for your overall self-care. So if you have any questions, definitely reach out to me, and I'll catch you next Wednesday.